Then a big types welcome. I would like you to welcome, right here to kick it off, all the way from Phoenix, Arizona, it's Myrlin, Hepworth.
Okay, so briefly, in Phoenix, like Southside, we are like Tucson. The Southside is mostly working class families, and so is the West Side. And we have this thing called the light rail that comes to the middle of Tempe, through the suburbs, to the middle of Phoenix, and then it looks like it's going to the West Side, and it goes, nah. Right? That's about this poem. Yeah. Gas prices rise and dinner plates lose weight, and there ain't no light rail on the south side. No plans for one either. Elicio listens to his kindergarten teacher read The Little Engine That Could, while his father builds light rail tracks that will never reach his own neighborhood. Elicio's father was born in Sinaloa. Slave does not always mean plantation. Once it meant Irish and Italian. German, Polish, Chinese, and Mexican. Once it meant Ellis Island, 11,000 people in a day, inspected like dogs for disease, tossed back in the ship with any sign of suspicion. Families cut in half, their stomachs empty like the eyes of mothers who stood on the shores of the Mississippi watching their sons, their daughters carried off by some other master, wondering when Miss Tubman might come back around and show them where the underground tracks were hidden. It is American, the blood in it, the pattern of train tracks, set like prison bars. This is how Elicio's father prays at night, staring through bars that hang from his window, because he understands that poor economy equals deportation. In the year 2050, Latinos will become the majority of the population. This makes conservatives shake in their boots, because they understand that at the turn of the 20th century, there were more Irishmen in New York City than in Dublin. And a few decades after they closed Ellis Island, JFK, Irish Catholic grandson of immigrants, was elected president to the United States. Can't you see that Kennedy sounds a little too much like Contreras or Cruz or Chavez? So conservatives shout stop the invasion with JFK stamps on their postage. It is American to use people and dispose of them during the Depression. Thousands of people with Spanish last names and dark features, most of which were born here, were stuffed into railroad cars and deported by force. Mothers detained at the grocery store screaming for their children. Please, I was born here. Please, I was born here. Their identification tossed in the dirt by a man with a baton. Trains carried them south. It is the same story now. In this recession, 29,000 deportations. You know it's bad when the greatest country on earth is too greedy to feed its own slaves. Immigration is America's new favorite noose. But the problem has always been Elicio, the sons and daughters of slaves, those who know nothing of Africa or Mexico, so train tracks are built for them. So they understand what side of the tracks they're from, what ghetto wasteland they're destined to die inside. Build them prisons and schools that look like prisons, so they're more likely to transition into a penitentiary than a university. Give them books and more books, but do not include names like Ruben Salazar, Rodolfo Gonzalez. These names cannot compare to George Washington's cherry tree. Elicio will understand what is American by the sheriff's zip ties, by the tears on his father's face, by the shame in that moment when the man with the baton walks over to him and describes the train that will carry his father out of his life for good by making reference to a children's story, saying, remember boy, he thought he could, you think you can. And one day, if Elicio is lucky enough to understand why there ain't no light rail on the south side, he will take that book and rewrite it